And welcome back to Jeff Kenyan live here at Citizen Television, speaking with a fascinating man with a fascinating story. Former Speaker of the National Assembly, Francis Ole Kaparo, with his memoirs entitled Calming the Storms. This is the original. This is the genuine title, folks. Someone stole his original manuscript and it's selling out there under the title Order, Order, Order. If you see that version, burn it. This is the original. This is the real deal right here. And it's fascinating. By the way, did you know that he was a lawyer? He started off as a lawyer. And his teacher, his professor, was Professor Willie Mutunga.
Yeah.
He taught you law?
Yeah, he taught me law, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, he taught me law.
And how long did you practice law?
I practiced law for 13 years.
Wow.
In Nyeri.
Uh-huh.
In Nanyuki and Meru, Nairobi. Yeah. Places like that.
And when you were elected to parliament, right?
Yeah.
From which constituency?
Laikipia East.
Laikipia East.
I was elected by a community, my community was 20%.
And the rest?
The rest was not my community. 80%.
Wow. How many times did they elect you?
Once. And I'll tell you why once. I was elected in 88. As you know, we repealed the Section 2A in 1991. I remember the date when we made that decision. That was on November 5th, 1991. And we opened up politics for pluralism. And because of that, it was no longer Kanu alone. And I come from an area, Mount Kenya area.
Right.
The dominant party in my county and constituency was the Democratic Party of the late President Mwai Kibaki.
Correct.
And I remember I was asked by the majority of my constituents to join the DP, and they would elect me unopposed. And I declined because I knew there was no way DP would form government, because there was also Matiba on the other side of the mountain. Mm-hmm. And they were going to share those votes. Kenyan politics then, as is now, mainly, or has been mainly on ethnic grounds. And so I knew DP would not form the government. And for that reason, I stuck with Kanu. And for that, for my pains, 80% of my voters rejected me. And I accepted defeat, of course. I didn't contest. And I went to have a party to celebrate my defeat, right, with my former supporters. That's how it should be.
Well, it looks 40 years later, it hasn't changed. It's the same.
It's the same.
Right?
It's the same.
If you stand on this party and the people want to punish you, they won't vote for you.
Yeah.
It's very ethnicized.
It is, and it's unfortunate, and that's what we say in that vote.
Yeah.
And that's my experience. It's very, very unfortunate that we vote mainly on two issues as a nation so far. We vote on money. Those guys who have money have an upper hand. And also we vote on tribe. If you are from a minority tribe, however good you are, however honest you are, however talented you are, however you are a good leader, you will never, ever reach the highest level of leadership in this country.
Because we vote for mediocrity, or what is it?
Well, you know, Kenyans are gradually changing and have been gradually changing. We, in the early time of our life as a nation, we voted for political leaders. we had great politicians as we went through
the
period of the fight for liberation of Kenya from colonialism to independence. You had great political leaders, and you all know them. Jomo Kenyatta, Tomboy, Mr. Odinga, Masinde Mudiro, Moi, and the rest. You had Gala in the Coast, Those were big-time politicians. And they were real politicians. They were dedicated to politics. And we continued until now. We lost the way. We somehow ceased to be Kenya. We became parochial. Everybody was looking at either the party, and the party must be from his community, or looking for somebody who has the money. But it is the tribe first, and then money second. But you have to have money to be able to get your tribe in place, and also to be able to bring other tribes to the table. When they say, what do you bring to the table? They certainly aren't asking you for your ideas. They're asking how many tribesmen will vote for me in this dispensation. Right. So what the table is, the tribe. And what you bring to the table are tribesmen. And it is a very worrying thing. And I hope at some stage Kenyans will begin to think outside the box and know that in this country called Kenya, we are all together. The small communities plus the big communities. Our destiny is intertwined. There is no problem that will discriminate on account of tribe. My friend, you will never have drought for Maasais and no drought for Kikuyu or for Kamba or for Luos. When it is a problem, it affects us all. When we have economic problems, an economic downturn, the increase in prices for food, for fuel, for housing, for everything, it affects all of us, irrespective of your tribe. So what ails me will ail you. And to be able to get a treatment for that ailment, it requires you and me to think together, act together, and sort out that problem. It requires the many and the few to get together, to think together, and find a way out of your problem. Let me tell you, Jeff, leadership is not confined to the many. The many can produce very good leaders, and they have. But the few can also produce good leaders, and they have. The unfortunate bit is the few may never see their leadership thrive on account of numerical numbers. It is something that worries me and will worry me for a long time, and I hope Kenyans of goodwill will think long and hard, and find out ways and means of thinking and acting as Kenyans.
Tell me something. So someone like you could never be president?
Never.
Huh?
Never.
Why not?
Because my tribesmen are very few. That's one. Number two, I don't have colossal amounts of money. You must have big tribe, and you must have lots of money for you to become president of Kenya. Now, I don't know about in future. But as of now, you must have lots of money, and you must have a big tribe, and you must also have another big tribe to combine with you to be able to carry the day. It is a worrying situation where we will have, where we do have tribes coming together and voting together to close everybody else, to close the others out.
Yeah.
I hope at some stage God will give the Kenyan people the requisite wisdom to think that our problems are not tribal, our problems are national. Our destiny is intertwined with one another, and we must think as a people together and find our way forward.
You think that'll happen in our lifetime, you and I?
You know, I am not a seer, but I am a pragmatic person. I think I'm too old to see that. I'm too old to see a Kenya that will vote for leadership on account of ability, and much more importantly also, on account of integrity. Because you see, you may be a very able person, but your integrity is questionable. Yeah. So, you know, in electing leadership, Kenyans must look at your ability, your leadership ability, and your integrity, because the two of them will determine how you will steer the ship of state. If you have no integrity, you can do a lot of damage to the country. So the two of them are necessary for good stewardship of a country, and it's the Kenyan people who actually determine who they want, and or a combination of some will decide who they want. I don't think up to this point we ever think about integrity and leadership qualities to be able to decide to vote for candidate A or candidate B. It's either tribe or party, a combination of the two, tribe and party.
And lots of money.
And lots of money.
Before the break, I asked the question, in your parliament, in your house, there was 223 members max. Today, 349 in the house alone. Is that too bloated? Is that too much? What kind of progress, what kind of work can be done with 349 members?
Jeff, for the time I left Parliament in January 2008, up to now, I have avoided commenting on the operations of the House, and for good reason. Because a lot of fellows could say whatever I say is driven by sour grapes, and I don't want to get myself involved in that. But the only thing I can say is that that number is inscribed in the Constitution. And that Constitution came into being because the Kenyans voted for it. So it is a Kenyan decision that that parliament should be the size it is. And why they did that, I cannot honestly tell you why, but I can guess. Everybody in the delineation of constituencies, every tribe wanted to have a piece of the pie. And where the tribe is too big, even the clan would like a piece of the pie. And all other parochial issues were at play to decide the kind of a house we would have. And therefore, we ended up getting what the Kenyan people wanted. Whether it is a good thing or it's a bad thing, I am not able to say. It is for Kenyans to decide whether, as a matter of fact, they are able to afford the cost of a bloated government. And I don't know why we only look at one arm of government as being bloated, and that is Parliament. We must look at the entirety of the government, three arms of government, whether they are bloated or they are not, whether they actually deliver services to the Kenyan people or they don't, whether we actually pay them to do nothing is something that the Kenyan people themselves will decide. But I refuse to comment directly on a house that I left many years ago, because I don't want to appear like I was better than everybody else. I'm not God.
Okay.
I'm just a human being.
Yes.
And I also make mistakes, and I've made many mistakes along the way.
Sure.
And I think it's up to Kenyan people to decide, to judge for themselves.
Tell me something. The present speaker, Moses Wetangula, who is your guest of honor tomorrow in your book launch, right?
Yes.
He's your guest of honor.
Yes.
Do you talk? I mean, does he ask you for advice?
Well, let me first of all say this. I first met Moses Wetangula, the Honorable Speaker, in 1993, in my first stint as Speaker.
He must have been a very young man then.
He was, yes. I too was young that time. You think I was born old? It's a long time ago.
It's 30 years.
It's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So you don't think I was that old? Actually, at the time of my election as Speaker, I was the youngest in the Commonwealth at the age 42. And I left at 57. So you can see all my youthful time was spent in the House as Speaker.
Yeah.
But Moses Wetangula, I first met in 1993. He came in as a nominated MP from Kano. And he was the only one I appointed as a member of the chairman's panel who was a first-timer. Everybody else was seasoned politically. Moses Wetangula was first-timer. I made him what they used to call temporary speaker. And so he used to deputize me or the deputy speaker when we were not in the chair. So he got the training from that time.
Wow.
But he's not the only one I trained. I also trained Justin Muturi. I also made him a member of the chairman's panel. And Ethru, who in the end also became to be the Speaker of the Senate. I also trained him as a member of the chairman's panel. So he is not new to me. I don't go to Parliament often. Indeed, for a long time after I left, I think over 10 years, I didn't ever step there. But once in a while now, I occasionally visit Moses Wetangula if there's anything we wanted to discuss. But I avoid any matters relating to the running of the House. He was my friend, still is, so we don't talk shop.
What do you miss most about the House?
What I miss about the House? I don't know whether I actually miss anything, because I think I did a lot of what I wanted to do then. By the time I was going to get out, I had made up my mind that after 15 years, it was good enough for me to retire. And I just didn't retire honorably then because of what happened in 2008.
That's right.
You remember that?
Post-election.
Post-election violence. And I was asked by President Kibaki and a lot of other important colleagues to remain because the country needed steady hands in time of turmoil as it was then. And so I reluctantly chose to contest the election of 2008. But I was, as you know, I was defeated. And when I was defeated, I moved on. And I didn't want to come back to parliament because I left nothing. I didn't leave any baggage behind.
Right.
So there was nothing I was coming to pick. And above all, I didn't want anybody to think that I'm lingering on there, that I am poking my nose where it shouldn't be. I think when you leave a public office, just go away.
Walk away.
And just leave it. Let those who are there handle the best way they can. So that if they want to seek your advice, give it unconditionally, the best way you can. Don't mislead. Don't be jealous. If they don't ask for it, don't offer. Just stay quiet. Yeah? Let them handle the best way they can.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wise words, Mr. Speaker, wise words. I want to take another break, come back, get reactions. A lot of people are writing in right now. We've got to get some reactions from them. And also, what are you doing now? What is Francis Ole Kaparo up to now?
I am up to nothing but I'm living like every ordinary Kenyan citizen should live. Try as best as you can to take care of what is around you. And above all, I have spent quite a bit of my time, even when I was Speaker and even now, on 2 or 3 things that I value a lot.
Okay, hold that thought about the 2-3 things. We'll come back to that in a little short while and your reactions as well. What are your thoughts? Calming the Storms is the memoir by former Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo. You need to pick this book up if you're interested in the history of Kenya and the history of Africa. It's a great read. Make that fascinating read from an equally fascinating man. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back.
How long is the break?
In a moment.
I'm an old man. Can I go to
4 minutes? 4 minutes.